Alright, so hey guys, I'm back with another video. This one's gonna be about writing. I haven't done a writing video in too long, so I decided I would do a Q&A. I recently just revamped my writing Instagram, so I'm kind of trying to interact with that more, post more often, and I asked people, I was getting a lot of DMs that had questions about my writing experience, and so I wanted to just do a video answering some of these questions in case you have the same questions. And also this is for some of those people who did have questions that were in my DMs that I was just, I'd prefer just explain it to you as myself and not over message. So this is also very organic. I hope I answer all of your questions in full, but I've just glanced at the questions. I don't have formatted answers, I guess. So my first question is, what is my daily routine as a writer? And honestly, I don't have too much of a daily routine with creative writing, and especially poetry. I found that it's not something you can just sit down and like force yourself to find and to write. And usually if you do that, they're not going to be your best poems or it's not going to be your best writing. Daily, I always journal. That is something I've always done. Usually I'll have like random ideas throughout the day, and I always make sure to write those down. But as far as daily writing goes, that's kind of the extent of it for me. On top of that, when I'm writing fiction, like a novel, I tend to just hunker down for like 2 months straight and drink coffee into the wee hours of the morning, and like the idea is in my head and I just have to write it as fast as I can. So that's kind of the way I go about writing fiction and novels. And then with poetry, I have to organically be feeling those feelings that I write. So that book has taken me way longer than my fiction, because the way I go about writing fiction is just to sit down and write it in a very short span of time. And then with poetry, it's years and years of experience and like experiencing heartbreak or sadness or happiness or depression or whatever it be. It has to be in the moment for me to write those. So it's sparse. As for every day, as I said, I journal and I kind of take notes, and then I write poetry as it comes to me. And with fiction, I just sit down and spend months writing fiction. So that is the answer to the first question. My next question is my personal experience in writing. So this is vague. I'm not really sure what this person was curious about. I don't know. I'm a self-published author, I'll say that. I've never traditionally published, so my experience is in self-publishing. I was a young writer. I'm still a young writer. I'm only 20, and when I wrote my first book, I was also very young. So self-publishing was really kind of the route for me. I feel like even if traditional publishers were taking pieces, they wouldn't be taking it from someone so young, because it's, inexperienced or whatever. So I decided to self-publish. It was really a tough process, especially the first time around. I had no idea what I was doing, and I did all the interior design myself, and I organized the cover art with my best friend. So it was a lot of work technically that I'd never done. It was a lot. And also marketing, I didn't realize in my personal experience is that I kind of failed at it. I did not market my book well enough because I was too young to focus on that. Like, I was beginning college after I wrote my book, like right when I wrote my book. I think I published my book in September and I started school in August. So it was like around the same time frame. And so it was just too much at once, and I wasn't able to focus on marketing. So my book sales were not where I wanted them to be, and I didn't get the publicity that I needed for my book or for my writing career. So that's kind of like my regret. I'm not really sure. If you have like more specific questions, you can feel free to ask me in the comments. But that's just kind of some personal experience in writing for you. All right, so the next question is, how did you create the character of your book? The character of my book, my novel, The Curse of Eden, is very close to my heart. It's kind of, a reflection of myself and what I was going through at that point in time. And so I'd say the quickest answer is that, to be honest, it's a character that's very similar to me and very similar in her reactions to what she was going through, just in the same way I was reacting to what I was going through. So Definitely a reflection of me. I feel like most authors' characters are in some way a reflection of them, but I have to say, Estrella, which is the name of my character, is very similar to me, more similar than maybe other authors' characters are. And I can't say I'd write another book with a character so similar to me. It was really like a true reflection of what I was going through and what my heart felt and, you know, just the state I was in. So it's very much like a creative nonfiction almost. But I want to say, if you're trying to create a character, I definitely have a lot of really great books. I did a video, the books I recommend for aspiring authors, and I have a few in there that talk about character development. So if you're looking for a book on character development, or I can try to make another video on building a character, that is what I advise you to. All right, the next question is, how old were you when you started writing your book? And I was always like a writer ever since I was probably 5 and I could write. I, you know, wrote really, really rough stories. I really liked writing stories. But the age I was when I started The Curse of Eden was 18, and I published it, I think, at 18, 19. I honestly am not positive. I started writing it really young, and I was surprised it took off, to be honest, because I'd always wanted to write like a major fiction series, and I still do, but I thought that would be the first thing I published. But The Curse of Eden just kind of came to me. So yeah, I wrote it at 18 and I published it, I think, at 19. I think that's what happened. And I was like newly 19, so basically 18. And then my advice for young writers. This is a hard one. I have to say, like, if you are a young writer and you want to publish something, I think you should. And I think that self-publishing, like I did, is the way to go if you want to do that. But I can't necessarily recommend, I think with writing The Curse of Eden, I was impatient and I wanted it published, and it was my first book and I wanted it done. And it's hard. I'm an impatient person, and I think maybe my youth has something to do with that. But I'd say if that's your dream and that's something you want to do and you feel that it's ready, publish it. But just know that when you're older, you'll look back and you won't think it's perfect, because as you get older, and like I'm in college studying English, so I'm just learning constantly like how to better my writing. And so I look back at that and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like I still think it's a good book, and I still think it captures the moment I was in and the headspace I was in. But it's rough to me, like when I look back at it, because I see all the things I could have changed as a more developed writer now. And so it's really hard to not go back and edit just constantly and come out with new versions. And so it's kind of like it haunts me, but I also feel like it captures what I wanted it to capture in the moment and at that age. And yeah, so that's my advice. I mean, if you want to be bold and you want to publish it, do it, because I don't think you'll regret it. I don't necessarily regret publishing The Curse of Eden. I just wish I'd taken longer to edit it and make sure it was exactly what I wanted. I guess that's my answer. Authors that inspire me, it depends on the genre. I'm really inspired by Rupi Kaur right now. Her poetry is amazing, and as someone trying to write a poetry book, it's really inspirational. And I also really love Scott Fitzgerald. Who else do I love? I also was inspired early on by John Steinbeck. He's actually the reason I decided to become an English major. It's because in high school I didn't know what I wanted to do at all major-wise. Like I didn't even want to go to college. I was like, why am I here? And I actually had done really terrible in high school in English classes until my senior year. I even had to like flunk out of advanced writing and go back to the normal like regular writing class the first time I tried to take advanced writing. And I mean I failed essays really bad, because I was always a creative writer and they wanted this extremely formatted essay, and like it was super hard transitioning for me and I never really got it. And so I struggled, because I was like, English and writing is this thing that I love and my dream is to become a writer. So it was really hard to see myself fail at that. But I remember we were reading Of Mice and Men and we watched a documentary on John Steinbeck, and he never actually got a college degree, but he did go to college just to take English classes to better himself as a writer, and he like wouldn't take anything else, and that's why he never got a degree. But that was just super inspiring to me, and I was like, you know what? He did it to better himself as a writer, and so I want to become an English major because that's what I want to do, and I know it's going to be hard for me especially, but that's where I want to grow, and that's what my future is. So that's why I decided to declare the English major. Yeah, that's why John Steinbeck inspires me so much. It's a weird way to like inspire someone, and I'm sure like, I mean, I love his writing too, but that in particular kind of inspired me to become an English major and pursue my career in writing, even though I failed essays in high school and I, really struggled and doubted myself. Okay, the next question is, are you currently writing anything? As I've mentioned a few times, I'm currently working on a poetry book. So that, and I'm gonna collaborate with my sister and my best friend on that. They're gonna have pieces in there as well, which I think is really cool to help mix it up. That is the end of the questions, guys. I hope you enjoy this video. If you have any further questions for me or questions about my answers, feel free to comment below. And if you want to check out my Instagram, it's gonna be author Alyssa Clay, and I'll put that in the description below. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video.